If you think your bookings are fully protected once they're confirmed, pause for a moment, because that assumption doesn't hold true the way it used to. Airbnb hasn't eliminated host cancellation policies, but over the last year, they've expanded guest flexibility and introduced new policy structures that change how cancellations play out in practice. The result is that many hosts are experiencing last-minute cancellations and refunds more often, even when they've selected what looks like a protective policy. This isn't about rare edge cases. It's about how updated rules are being applied across listings and how that affects real income. The common advice hosts hear sounds reassuring. Just tighten your cancellation policy. Raise your prices to offset risk. Airbnb has host protections. You'll be fine. But that advice assumes something that's no longer true. It assumes you control the rules. In reality, Airbnb's systems increasingly override host-selected policies in favor of guest-first resolutions. That means even if your listing settings look strict on paper, enforcement is often flexible behind the scenes. Where hosts get stuck is thinking, if I followed the rules, the platform will back me. What they misunderstand is that platforms don't optimize for host income. They optimize for guest retention. Refunds are friction reducing. Strict enforcement is friction creating. So when a situation lands in a gray area, the system is designed to err on the side of the guest, not the host's revenue. That's why so many experienced hosts say, I didn't even realize this was possible until it happened to me. Let me walk you through what this actually looks like in real life. Example 1, the last-minute cancellation. A guest books a $500 stay weeks in advance. They cancel shortly before arrival. Depending on timing, policy type, and Airbnb's updated cancellation framework, including newer options like limited or firm, the guest may receive a partial or full refund. Even when a refund aligns with platform rules, the host is still left with a last-minute gap that's often impossible to rebook. The policy may be working as designed, but the financial risk still lands with the host. Example 2, the automatic refund trigger. A guest checks in and reports a minor issue, maybe a slow drain, a confusing thermostat, or a complaint that could have never been resolved with a quick message. Instead of mediation, the platform processes a partial or full refund automatically. No inspection, no time for you to fix it, no proportional evaluation of the issue. Suddenly, a stay you delivered correctly becomes a financial loss, not because of your service, but because of how fast the system moves to de-escalate the guest experience. Example 3, the multi-property revenue shock. Now zoom out. Imagine the host with multiple listings, solid reviews, strong occupancy, everything dialed in. One weekend, 2 different guests cancel under flexible interpretations of policy. Another guest receives a partial refund after checkout. Individually, none of these feel catastrophic, but together, that's a 4-figure revenue swing in a single month with no change in marketing, no drop in demand, and no operational failure. The host didn't mess up. The system simply redistributed risk quietly. And this is the part most hosts miss. These losses don't show up as a dramatic failure. They show up as mysteriously lower income despite full calendars. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Your biggest risk is no longer vacancies. Your biggest risk is lack of control. When a platform controls cancellation enforcement, refund decisions, and guest dispute resolution, then your revenue is conditional even when bookings are confirmed. That doesn't mean Airbnb is bad. It means Airbnb is optimized for scale, not individual host stability. The hosts who stay profitable long term stop thinking in terms of, how do I get more bookings? And start asking, how do I reduce exposure to decisions I don't control? This is about resilience, not rebellion. Stability, not drama. Here's what I want you to do next. No tech overhaul required. First, stop assuming booked nights are guaranteed income. They're not, unless you control the terms. Second, audit your risk concentration. Ask yourself, what percentage of my income depends on one platform? How many of my bookings could be reversed without my approval? Third, evaluate where control actually lives, not where you think it lives, not what the dashboard suggests, but who has final say when something goes wrong. Even awareness alone changes how you price, plan, and protect your income. If this is making you realize that being fully booked isn't the same as being protected, that awareness alone puts you ahead of most hosts. The hosts who stabilize their income long term don't try to outsmart platform policies. They step into ownership instead. That means controlling the booking relationship, setting the rules, and building a system that doesn't change overnight without your consent. That's exactly what I walk hosts through inside the Dipster booking revolution. Not as a tactic, but as a shift away from platform dependence. I'll leave you the details below in the video description so you can explore it when you're ready. In the next video, we'll look at how Airbnb's new fee and pricing structures quietly compress margins, even when your nightly rates go up. That's where this conversation gets really interesting.